the New York Times piece the other day by Michelle Goldberg, who brings up some of those allegations from the 1990s, Juanita Broaddrick's in particular, the one who accused a president of the United States of rape. And this liberal columnist at the New York Times says, now I believe her. Now I believe her. It says in Jim Garrity's piece, a New York Times columnist declaring in print that she believes the 42nd president of the United States is a rapist ought to make people stop and think. But since we're seeing a tide of slime from predatory men gradually oozing out of Hollywood studios, television networks, and state capitals, it seems fair to ask whether Clinton's experience left many powerful and abusive men convinced that they could escape serious consequence. That's really what happened in 1998 and 99. No consequences. And so is that good for the health, the moral health of the country, when those at the very top get away with it? When there are no consequences? Can the country carry on as normal? Or does that sort of behavior filter on down? Let me play you this clip from, here's another New York Times columnist. This is David Brooks last week on Charlie Rose's show, and they discuss the Clinton presidency, and listen to this exchange, clip 1.
How much did tolerance of Bill Clinton create the environment in which the rest of this was given permission?
How much do you think?
I think it had effect. I think the fact that nobody was approving of Bill Clinton and some of the things he was accused of doing by Kathleen Willey and those sorts of people, but people were not saying, no, we're drawing the line here. And if you don't draw lines in these big cases, then you don't draw lines in the little cases.
So he says there that something should have been done, and you can see it filter down if you don't do anything, if there's no consequences. But he also made the comment there that, it's not like anyone was approving of that behavior. But on the other hand, you look at the end of 1998. This is the year he's impeached. And Bill Clinton registered on a CNN USA Today Gallup poll as the most admired man in the country. He was the most admired man in the United States. This is what my father addressed in that 1998 article. He said, look, okay, this is going on in the White House, but look at the rest of the country. Why is this tolerated? I've mentioned this comment before from Paul Weyrich. His response in early 1999 about the Clinton scandals and such, and he basically came out and said, look, here's a right-wing conservative. And he says, look, we've lost the culture war. We've lost it. A similar point that my father made. As I say, we'll get to his article here in just a second. Weyrich said in 99, the culture we're living in becomes an even wider sewer. He went on to say that it just overwhelms politics. I don't have the answers or even all the questions, but I know that what we have been doing for 30 years hasn't worked. I mean, he was fighting in the culture wars. I mean, we hear about the culture wars today, but what principles of God's law are we fighting for? None. None. He says, I know that what we've been doing for 30 years hasn't worked, that while we have been fighting and winning in politics, our culture has decayed into something approaching barbarism. I've read that quote a few times before. It's a powerful, powerful quote. That's what he said in 1999, almost 20 years ago. 20 years on, and this is what it looks like. Character doesn't matter.